Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Chiefskate, and we are back with another episode of We of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we'll discuss playing a Secundan Incursion Gang in your campaigns of Necromunda Hive Secundus. We'll discuss the gang's compositions, as well as their strengths and weaknesses. We'll also talk a little bit about the fighters and wargear, as well as gang composition that makes up the Secundan Incursion Gangs. We'll also give you guys some more information about alliance allegiances systems within the Underhells campaign, as well as provide you 2 starting rosters that you could use in your very first campaign of Necromunda Hive Secundus. Because this video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So that being said, let's go and talk about why you want to play a Secundan Incursion Gang. The reason why you want to play this gang is for one very important reason, because you want the best of both worlds. Not only do you want to play a normal gang that you usually can play in your games in Necromunda, but you also want to throw in a spire or fighter, hunter of some sort within your gangs, that we have the best of both worlds. Having a spire hunter being the leader of your gang is always a lot of fun. At the same time, you can also support that spire hunter with normal fighters from your gang, as always, with all the great things that come with the different gangs that are available in Necromunda. So first of all, let's talk about the strengths of playing a Secundan Incursion Gang. First of all, you get a Spire Hunter who's going to be your leader, and that's going to be really great because the Spire Hunters are actually one for one some of the best fighters available in Necromunda right now for your campaign. At the same time though, they're not just going alone, they also have backup. They also have normal fighters coming with them or providing the much needed backup they're going to need. After all, diversity is the spice of life, and because of that, you'll be able to put a lot of different kind of gangs with some really unique combinations, combining different Spire Hunter fighters with different gangs and their abilities and their weapons in order to back them up, and because it's going to make it really a lot of fun to actually see that. The nice thing about this too is that you can also use this gang as either an Archaeo Hunter or as a Maelstrom Allegiance gang as well. And we'll get a little bit more in detail about that later on in the video, but just suffice to say that in Underhells campaign, you have to either be an Archaeo Hunter or a Maelstrom Allegiance, and that actually has some really good and positive as well as negative benefits of actually being one of those. Now let's talk about the weaknesses of playing a Secundan Incursion Gang. The number one weakness is, of course, is the huge credit sink that you got to spend for your gang starting roster on your Spire. In the Underhells campaign, you only get 1,000 credits to create your starting roster, not 12,500 like it was in the original box set. So they changed the rules quite a bit for the Underhells campaign. So you only get 1,000 credits, which means you'll be spending anywhere between a quarter to a full third of your budget directly on one fighter. So that could also be a bit of a handicap. At the same time, you also lose any traditional leader fighters that would normally lead your gang, because you'll not be able to include those guys. Now you can include champions and fighters and everything else like that in your gang, but your leader fighter, your character, not so much. That's the problem with that. At the same time, whether you allow this in your Underhive campaigns or not, like a Dominion campaign back in High Primus, that one's open for debate. Some people would say that you can't use a Secundan Incursion Gang in an Underhive campaign. The reason why is because the name says it all. You're going into Hive Secundus, so therefore it's not allowed. But me though, I'm more of a flexible arbitrator, so it doesn't really matter to me. I like seeing all kinds of crazy things are available now in Necromunda, so whenever I run a campaign, I allow my friends to use whatever they want to, but just be aware that some arbitrators may not. So if that happens, make sure you talk to your arbitrator ahead of time, so that way you can avoid any confusion in the future. So let's talk about the gang composition real quick. So you actually have a nice little selection of choice you can use to create a Secundan Incursion Gangs. And unfortunately, the rules are quite strict about who can be a Secundan Incursion Gang and who can't be, which I find a little lame, but that's just me personally. So first of all, you could choose any of the 6 original houses of Necromunda in order to create your gang. So for those of you guys who are Vansar players, and if you got the starting box set, you're already ahead of the curve, because you also have Vansar fighters with some Spire Hunters involved with that. So, or you could play Goliath or Cod or any one of the original founding gangs in the campaign system to create your Hive Secundus game, which is kind of nice. You could also use Ironhead Squat Prospectors as well, which could be a really cool combination. Spire Hunters are traditionally already expensive enough, but with Ironhead Squat Prospectors even more so. But you could bring some really powerful firepower with your gang if you wanted to bring an Ironhead Squat Prospector gang, which could be kind of nice. You could also use Paladin Enforcers as well, which is kind of cool. You could probably imagine like these Paladin Enforcers being used as bodyguards to protect the Spire Hunter that's going down to the depths. So you can make some really cool combinations with that as well. Or if you really want to get really interesting, create Venators. Venator Secundan Gangs would actually be really cool, because then you get all the variety and all the different types of miniatures and stat lines and characteristics and customization that Venator Gangs bring. So that part is kind of nice. Now if you notice, they don't say anything about Outcast Gangs. I'm kind of sad about that, because I love Outcast Gangs. I think they can do a lot of really cool things. But then again, you could probably just create a normal outcast gang and just have a Secundan hunter, Spire hunter be their leader anyway, since you're allowed to choose your leaders in that fashion. So maybe they don't need to have the actual rule spelled out. At the same time, because you're a Secundan game, that means you have the same access to fighters, weapons, and war gear of your base gang. So for example, pretend you're playing a Khador gang for your Secundan Incursion Gang. So you have a Spire leader who's going to be the leader of your gang, and then you could use everything else that a normal Khador gang could use in terms of weapons, fighters, equipment, that sort of thing as well, which is actually kind of nice. It allows you to have a lot of variety. At the same time, your Spire leader is actually limited to only one of 4 hunting rig types. You can either take an Orus, which is the big hulking close combat guy, the Yeld, which is the guy who can fly around and shoot at people, the Malkadon, which is more like a spidery kind of arachnid type of build, or the Chikara, which is really fast and in-your-face close combat. You can't take the Hunt leader as a leader for this game, which is kind of sad because Hunt leader can give you kind of a little bit more variety with some weapon outloads, so you can't do that. You gotta choose one of the 4 core ones, but them's the breaks. You can't have everything, which is kind of interesting. At the same time, though, you can also not replace any Spires in your gang at all. So if you lose your leader, whatever Spire hunting rig you choose, I mean, that's it, your leader's gone, so you won't get another Spire ever again. So do keep that in mind, and you also can't recruit other Spires either. You only get the one in your gang, so do keep that in mind if you plan on taking this type of gang in your next campaign. So let's talk about some of the positives and negatives of being a Secundan Incursion Gang in the Underhells. First of all, you have to choose 1 or 2 allegiances when you actually join up in the campaign. The allegiance is fought between different sides. You have Archeo Hunters, which are basically people trying to go into Hive Secundus to loot the riches and wealth that can be found there, and they have the Malstring Allegiance, which are of course the guys who are defending Hive Secundus from anybody from the outside coming in. Now, there's benefits to both, as well as some handicaps to both, so let's go and talk about that real quick. If you decide to be an Archeo Hunter gang, you do have the benefit of an Abyssal Ferryman team. This kind of replaces the old allegiance system that used to be around for Hive Primus, because in this campaign setting you can't take any allegiances with you. So if those of you who are used to taking Merchant Guild, Noble House alliances, or criminal alliances, throw that out the window. That is no longer available for you in the Underhells campaign. But to replace that is your Abyssal Fireman team that gives you some good fighters as well as some good stats you can choose from. Very, very customizable. I made a video about that earlier this month, so you can actually go check that out if you want to, about my take on the Abyssal Fireman team. Now, if you decide to become a Malstring Allegiance, you don't get an Abyssal Fireman team. What you get, however, is an increase of 400 credits that you can use on crew, vehicles, or fighters who have the mounted condition. So if you're one of those kind of players who wants a lot more customizing with your gang, this might be the route for you, because you get 400 additional credits. You can buy your own mounted fighters, your own vehicles, that sort of thing, and kind of kit them out accordingly. So those are the benefits really of choosing Archeo Hunters or Malstring Legions. At the same time, the Malstring Legions also has a +1 or -1 modifier on roaming horrors, and the reason why that's important is because whenever you play a scenario, you do have to roll on the roaming horrors table to determine what kind of random NPCs are on the tabletop that you have to deal with as a gang. Having that +1 or -1 modifier can be really beneficial for a Malstring gang, so that way they can either choose what kind of opponents they're facing against. Now, either way, you do have modifiers for both Madness and Desolation special rules, talking about that, but we'll do that in a little video later on when I go a little bit more of a deeper dive on that. Alright, so let's get these starting rosters. Now in this video I actually made 2 starting rosters, and the reason why is because as a Secundan Incursion Gang you can either be Archeo Hunter Allegiance or the Malstring Allegiance. So I decided to make a list for both, just in case you're interested in doing that. So my very first list will be an Underhells campaign list with Archeo Hunters as your allegiance, so you'll have an Abyssal Fire team attached to this roster, and the second one's going to be aligned with the Malstring Allegiance and with that 400 credit bump in mounted fighters, vehicles, and crews, and we'll talk about both of those next. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about being the Archeo Hunter Allegiance. So this is list number 1. This is the Underhells campaign with the Archeo Hunter Allegiance. For this one, you're going to have an Aurus Spire Hunter be your leader of your gang. It's going to cost you 385 credits. He's going to be the leader. He's going to also have the Aurus Hunting Rigs. He's also have paired Power Talons, paired Bolt Launchers, as well as Photo Goggles. So you're spending 35 credits on that. He's also automatically come with the Reflex Enhancers, Master of the Hunt, Kill Count, as well as Spire Hunting Rig, Glitches, special rules attached to him. And for his skill, you give him Gunslinger, so that way he can fire both of his Bolt Launchers without that -1 hit against penalty, because they're both considered sidearm weapons. So if you notice, the Spire Hunter for the Oris, we're not really spending any credits really on upgrading his Power Fists or upgrading his bolt launchers, and the reason why is because he's already expensive enough. He's already eating 385 credits of your budget, so we really don't need to do that at all. The only thing we added to this guy is photo goggles, so that we can see all visibility conditions, so that we can charge at opponents and also shoot at people as well. This guy's gonna be your primary killer, going up forward, fighting people in close combat and short range shooting. This guy's gonna be absolutely destroying your opponents in close combat. Alright, so for the rest of you guys' fighters, you're going to be taking Vansar Tech Hunters primarily. So Vansar Tech Hunter number 1 is going to cost 95 credits. This is going to be your biotechnist for your gang, so that way you can make medical escort missions once per phase. He's also got a body glove for 6 up armor save and a last pistol for self-defense. And this guy's also got a servo medicae, so that way he can reroll injury dice when he goes up to people, to make a little bit more ability to recover more. At the same time, our second Tech Hunter is going to be Vansar Tech number 2, is going to cost 180 credits for that fighter. He's a Technomat, so that way you can create Wargear that costs less than 25 credits for your gang every single turn. He's also got Body Glove for that 6 up armor save and Rad Phage immunity. He's got a Rad Gun, because a template weapon like that is always good, no matter if it's only strength 2, but you also have Rad Phage 2, which could also cause a lot of problems for enemies. And at the same time, he's also got a last pistol for a backup weapon. Vansar Tech Hunter number 3 is going to cost you 100 credits. This guy's going to be your gun tech, so that we can get free weapons that are less than 25 credits per round. He's also got a body glove for that 6 up armor save, as well as immunity to Rad Phage. He's also got a long last for that long range shooting across battlefields, as well as a last pistol for a backup weapon. Tech Hunter number 4 is going to cost you 120 credits. This guy has an Auger Tech, so that way you can actually be able to use data crystals more effectively. He's got a body glove for 6 up armor save, as well as a last carbine for rapid fire weaponry. He's also got a last pistol for a backup weapon, as well as an auger specs, that way you can group activate an additional fighter. And then you're going to have a Vansar Tech Hunter number 5, is going to cost you 120 credits. This guy is a biotechnist number 2 in your gang, so we can do 2 medical escort missions if you have to for free. He's also got a body glove for 6 up armor save, a last gun, a last pistol for a backup weapon, as well as a Medicaid kit, so that we can help out any fighters who are downed during your tabletop games. And because you are an Archeo Hunter gang, you will also get the Abyssal Ferryman to help you out. These guys will be from the Explorer Enclave with a special rule New Horizons, which means at the end of each cycle you add D3 exploration points to your gang's total. Your leader is going to be a Ferryman Skipper, who's going to have 4 inch movement allowance, 4 plus weapon skill, 3 plus ballistic skill, 3 strength, and 4 toughness. He's going to have 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. He's going to be packing mesh armor for a 5 armor save, an armored undersuit to bump up that armor save to 4 up. He's going to have a Crute long rifle for long range shooting, as well as close combat, photo goggles so that we can see in all visibility conditions, a respirator so that we can survive gas and toxic attacks. He's got a grapnel launcher and a drop rig so that we can traverse the terrain easily on the battlefield, either vertically or horizontally when he's traveling across the battlefield, as well as a fast shot skill so that we can fire twice, potentially in one turn. Your Ferryman Rig Hand is going to have a 3 inch wound allowance, 4 plus weapon skill and ballistic skill, strength and toughness. He's got 2 wounds, 5 plus for initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, 7 intelligence. He's going to be packing flak armor for a 6 up armor save, as well as a long rifle for infra sight so that they can reach out and shoot people across the tabletop, and that infra sight will allow him to do so in all visibility conditions. He's got a stub gun and dum-dum rounds for backup weapon, as well as a fast shot skill so that we can fire twice in one activation. And then lastly, you have a Ferryman Steersman. He's going to have a stub gun, also driving a custom rig with tracked locomotion so that we can deal with any kind of dangerous terrain. He's also got a crash cage, escape hatches in order to protect your crew and vehicles, as well as your passengers. He's got a small transport cage to protect your passengers as well. Redundant drive system to protect your wheels, your tracks rather. Tire claws are better on handling. Nitro burner for +1 movement allowance because you lose 1 inch of movement for having tracked locomotion. And you're also packing a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades, so that way you can fire that, as well as in the fast shot skill, so that we can fire that grenade launcher twice if necessary. And that pretty much makes up your guys' Archeo Hunter allegiance for your Underhells campaign. So list number 2 is going to be Underhells campaign with the Malstring Allegiance. So you'll be about defending the Hive Secundus from anybody from coming on the outside. Now we changed up this list quite a bit to make this list a little bit more aggressive than the first list. And the way we're going to do this by making your leader into a Yelled Spire Hunter. So it costs 255 credits. This is the hunter that can fly around and has the wings. He's going to be the leader of your gang. You're going to give him a Yelled hunting rig, which automatically comes with, as well as paired Yelled missile launchers. That way you can fire those high strength missile attacks against your enemies at long ranges. He's also got Yelled wings so that we can fly around, and you can spend 35 credits to give this guy photo goggles so that we can see in all visibility conditions. Now it automatically comes with the reflex enhancers, masters of the hunt, kill count, as well as Spire hunting rig glitches special rules already. But the skill you're going to give this guy is the Overwatch skill under the cunning skill tree, so that way you can interrupt enemy activations later on. And the reason why this is going to be really important for you is because as your character develops, your yelled missile gauntlets will level up and have further augments added to them. And one of them, of course, is a 3-inch blast radius, which is going to be really nice because then you could use it like a frag grenade launcher in order to interrupt enemy activations, which is all kinds of spam. Plus, you want this guy to be able to fly very quickly because we have some neotechs in this gang, so that way you can rocket around and keep up with them while pursuing the enemy. So next, you also have some Vansar Tech Hunters in this gang. Tech Hunter number 1 is going to cost 95 credits. He's your Biotechnist with Body Glove, Blast Pistol, as well as a Servo Metal Cage, so that way you can give medical escort missions if necessary. That Servo Metal Cage kit would be great in order to help people recover their injuries. Vansar Tech Hunter number 2 is going to cost 180 credits. Once again, a Technomat was good with Body Glove, Rad Gun, as well as Blast Pistol, doing exactly the same thing as the previous list. This guy can give you 25 credits worth of Wargear for free, plus the Rad Gun is no joke at all. A nice template weapon to mess with your enemies. Vansar Tech Hunter number 3 is going to cost another 100 credits with Gun Tech, and so that way you can get 25 credits worth of weapons for free. He's got Body Glove as well as a Long Last, as well as a Last Pistol, so that way you can reach out across the battlefield and strike at your enemies. Tech Hunter number 4 just costs 115 credits. This guy has an Auger Tech with Body Glove as well as Last Carbine, so that way he's got rapid fire shots. He's also got Auger Specs, so that way we can do a group activation of 1. Tech Hunter number 5 is to cost 85 credits, another Biotechnist, so that we can do another medical escort mission if you need to. He's also packing a Body Glove as well as a normal Last Gun. Now, the nice thing about this list, because you are a Malstrain Allegiance, you get up to 400 credits for vehicles and Squall's crew. So for this gang, we're giving you 4 Vansar Neotechs. So these guys will be rocking around the battlefield. These guys will cost 100 credits apiece. All 4 will have Body Gloves. They'll also have Last Pistols as well as Shock Staves, so that they can strike their opponents as they fly by them with their Shock Staves. They also have Grav Cutters as well, so that way they can fly around and rock around the battlefield. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pair your Yelled Spire Hunter with these Vansar Neotechs. That way they can kind of fly around together and then swoop your enemies and attack them from an exposed flank and destroy them that way. And the very last member gang is going to be a Vansar Technica, which is a vehicle crew member. It's going to cost 170 credits. This guy is going to be driving a Ridge Runner with tire claws for metal handling, as well as redundant drive system and engine shell to protect your tires as well as your engine from any kind of non-glancing hits. My suggestion to you is to upgrade this weapon with a heavy weapon of your choice. Missile launchers would be great. I think mining lasers would actually be a better choice though, because that way you can hit enemy vehicles and have a better chance of winning them. But Sylvie, it's up to you what you want to do for your list, and that makes up my Malstrain list on this one. Very aggressive as well as very fast moving. So there you guys have it. This is my recommendations for your Secundan Incursion Gangs starting rosters for any Underhells campaign now that's been set from the Book of Desolation. It's a great way to have both regular fighters as well as spires in the same gang, and I'll be really interested to see what kind of combinations people come up with. I was surfing the internet to see what kind of what kind of gangs people are developing. I've seen people making Secundan gangs that have been corrupted by the Malstrain. So you actually have, like, for example, they call it a Brood Coven, which is basically like Cotter guys who are mutated with Spire Hunters have been infected. I mean, they have all kinds of cool things out there. And I just love it because having more diversity to play in Necromunda with all kinds of different types of gangs and builds and lists, just a great way to keep this game really refreshing and really interesting and engaging with a lot of new challenges up there to be faced. Now, I know some people are kind of upset about how powerful Spire Hunters are, but you know what? They're not invincible. You can still take them out quite easily. You just got to play smarter, not harder. You'll be able to take out your enemies that way. And of course, as more information starts coming down the pike with Hive Secundus expansions, more content will of course follow as we look out for that. I plan on actually doing some Secundan lists for the base gangs, so that way if you're playing any of the original 6 houses, you can play in Hive Secundus. So I'm thinking about doing some videos about that. I'm also thinking about making some really interesting narrative-based gangs. For example, I have an idea to do a Dome Runner gang that was suggested to me by my viewers. So keep an eye out for that new content. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. I'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.